And formed elements. So again, these are the cells of your blood. Your blood is a connective tissue, and the cells are formed elements. And the three main types we have are erythrocytes, the red blood cells, leukocytes, your red, white blood cells, and platelets, also known as thrombocytes. That's the medical term. But often, like when they do like a complete blood count, they just sometimes they just say platelets. So thrombocytes equals platelets. Alright, and here we see a blood smear, and you see all these different types of cells, right? So we see all these cells, and let's zoom in even closer. We see different types of cells. So let's go to Top Hat real quick. What are the most common type of cells in your blood? Alright, let's see how everyone did. And most of you said erythrocytes, and most of you are correct. Yes, red blood cells make up the vast majority of your cell count and cell volume in your blood. And yeah, look what we see here. This is a blood smear, and all of these round ones right here, these are red blood cells. And these little flecks right here, these are platelets, and these are white blood cells. So a typical blood smear, or actually like I think they're showing more white blood cells in this one, but even then, you can see most of it is red blood cells. Right, so then red blood cells. Okay, so this is actually a fibrin clot, so don't think this is a buffy coat. I think they just have a lot of fibrin here. But if you have a typical, I was trying to find a nice centrifuge sample, but yeah, so you have most of the volume of cells in your blood are red blood cells. And this is the most common blood cell type by volume. They're 99.9% of your cell volume. Now, red blood cells, this is a typical anatomy, and this is a nicer picture than what's in the OpenStax. Now, our red blood cells, do they look like this if you have this electron microscope? No, this artificial colorized color, but they are red. I mean, they are what makes your blood red. And notice that they have a little dimple. So notice that they're not completely flat like a pancake. They have these little indentations, and this is what we call biconcave. They are dimpled on both ends. So they're like little coins, but they have a little pinch in the middle of both of them. So they're kind of like inner tubes, but instead of being a complete donut, they have a little surface in between. Yeah, so this refers to biconcave. If they were biconvex, convex would be bulging out, but concave, the way I like to think about it is like it's caving in. So notice it's caving toward the inside versus being bulging out toward the outside. Now, why are red blood cells red? Well, it has to do with their contents, like something inside of them is pigmenting them red. Well, what is our nickname for Mars? What color planet do we call it? Or how about, what color is rust? It's an orangish sort of, or what another color we describe rust as? How about raw beef? What color is that? Yep. And what do they all have in common? Well, Mars, rust, raw beef, they all have a lot of iron. So the iron is one of the main reasons why blood is red, and also these other things. And so yeah, rust is iron oxide. So again, they all have iron. Now, it all deals with this compound. Now, this is a chemical compound called heme. And what we see in the middle of this is an iron ion. So this is a ferrous ion right here. So we have iron in the center of a chemical we call heme. And again, heme is this entire structure, but iron is the very core of it. Now, there's a protein called hemoglobin that has 4 heme molecules. Count them. 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So hemoglobin is a protein, but it's actually made out of 4 polypeptide chains, and each polypeptide chain has a heme molecule. So there are 4 hemes per hemoglobin, and this central iron atom is actually what holds on to oxygen in hemoglobin. Now, hemoglobin has 4 oxygen molecules per hemoglobin molecule because, again, hemoglobin has 4 hemes, oxygen binds here. So per hemoglobin molecule, you get 1, 2, 3, 4 oxygen molecules binding to each hemoglobin molecule. And the thing is that you have about 250 million of these hemoglobin molecules per erythrocyte, per one of those small little coin-shaped cells. you have 250. So per red blood cell, on average, you can have potentially a billion oxygen molecules being carried by one single red blood cell. And how many red blood cells do you have? You have 20 to 30 trillion red blood cells in an adult. So it might multiply 20 to 30 trillion by 1 billion, and that's how many potential oxygen molecules you can transport in your red blood cells alone.